Well, this is important because under the Constitution, there are two provisions in the Constitution: the Elections Clause, which is Article 1, Section 4, Clause 1, and the Electors Clause, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, that says that state legislatures decide the time, place, and manner of elections. That's the Elections Clause, along with how you appoint presidential electors for the presidential election. So that's the Electors Clause. And it's very clear under the Constitution, it says state legislatures. And now that Republicans control a majority of the state legislatures across the country, the Democrats don't want Republican-controlled state legislatures drawing congressional lines, doing redistricting, setting the rules of federal elections. And so what they're trying to do is take away that power from the state legislatures and give it to the state Supreme Courts that are Democrat-controlled or Democrat-controlled independent commissions. And it takes away the powers under the U.S. Constitution from the state legislatures. And the Supreme Court is hearing a case today that's going to look at that issue. It's the case is called Moore versus Harper. And I think that the Supreme Court is finally going to hold that this is the Elections Clause under the Constitution. It's the Electors Clause under the Constitution. It is not a theory, as the Democrats call it. It's actually in the Constitution, and you need to follow the Constitution. So it's state legislatures set time, place, and manner of elections unless Congress overrides it, U.S. Congress overrides it, and not state Supreme Courts, not state-appointed independent commissions. Yeah, if you look at the 7,383 state legislator seats around the country, Republicans control 55%. If you look at the 98 state legislative chambers, Republicans control 59%. If you look at the number of state legislatures, Republicans control 57% of the 28. There's full state control of Republicans in 22 states. This is why Democrats are calling this a theory, independent state legislature theory, when it's actually the words in the Constitution. Well, what the Electoral Count Act does is it sets the rules for how Congress counts the votes once they're determined by each state. And so there's some interplay, but I think the Democrats are more concerned about this Moore versus Harper case because it means they can't have their Democrat judges, state judges, and their Democrat commissioners redraw congressional lines and set the rules of elections. For example, you can't state courts can't use COVID to change state election or to change federal election laws like they did during COVID. That violates the Constitution, and that violates the Elections Clause because it's the state legislatures that decide the time, place, and manner of elections, or Congress, not state courts, not state commissioners. And so they clearly violated the Constitution in 2020 when they unconstitutionally, unilaterally changed election rules because of COVID. It was nonsense. It was a power grab by Democrats. And after the Supreme Court rules in Moore versus Harper, I'm pretty confident they're going to rule the right way here. And that means that any laws that were changed outside of the state legislature because of COVID are unconstitutional. They're going to get ruled back.